And so here's kind of what I think happened. I think that they set up for the night on the mountain, and they set up their shelter, and I think they were probably getting ready for bed, probably just ate, and most of them had gone to bed, had gone to sleep. And I think in the middle of the night, this catabolic wind collapsed from on top of the mountain and rolled down the mountain, and within moments, they were in hurricane winds. I think two of the members stepped out of the tent because they were trying to figure out what was going on. Is this an avalanche, which would be the first concern, or what is this weather system? Is this going to cause an avalanche? So because two of the members were more prepared when they were found dead to be out in the elements, I think they were already outside of the tent. And I think these winds came upon them. You have debris flying around, and they're in terror. They need to get out of this area. There's going to be an avalanche. And I think the tent was starting to collapse on them, and I think they cut the tent open, got out of the tent, and realized they were in big trouble. And there's snow on top of the tent. I think what they did was they took snow, put it on top of the tent to hold the tent down, because they had planned on coming back. And the reason why I think they planned on coming back, on top of the tent was found a flashlight, and it was on. And so I think that was meant to be a beacon on how to get back to the tent. So as they head down this mountain, you have all this debris flying around. They're probably being hit with debris, which would explain some of the injuries as far as it looked like they'd been in a fight. Can you imagine the debris flying around with wind gusts anywhere between 50 and 100 miles an hour hitting you as you're going down the mountain? So I think that they left thinking they were going to come back relatively soon. And when they left in single file. So they're heading down the mountain at this point, and I think what happened was they're getting hit with debris. It's causing injuries. They're in bad shape. They got to get off the slope of the mountain, which is what they do. And they head towards the tree line. And I think the plan was, hey, we'll go make a fire, and you guys go make a shelter. And we'll get a fire going, you guys work on the shelter. And I think a lot of the burn marks on the hands and the feet of the two men that died near the fire, I think that's exactly what happened. I think they put their hands in the fire. You gotta remember, at this temperature, you're gonna put your hand and feet in fire to stay warm. You know, the broken branches 15 feet up, I think they were trying to get firewood to try and stay warm in a very desperate attempt. And it wasn't enough to save these two guys, so I think they died in the elements with hypothermia, and I think the burn marks on the body can be explained. The rest of the group goes down and they try and make a shelter, and the only shelter you can make in this area is like a snow cave. So I think they went down and they were creating this ice cave, this snow cave, and it was underneath the ice shelf. I think it collapsed on them. And that would explain a lot of the injuries, like they had been in a car accident. Can you imagine the weight, 13 feet of snow coming down and crashing on you? It would kill you. Regarding the missing tongue and the missing eyes and the mouth of the poor soul that was there, the female, I think what happened was the shelter collapsed on them, and underneath this ice shelf is running water. Because running water never made sense to me. You know, it's minus whatever degrees up there. It's too cold for running water, but not underneath an ice shelf. And I think she was face down in this water. And as it got warmer, and then it cooled off, and as it got warmer and it cooled off, these bodies are deteriorating. And I think in her situation, the first thing to go is soft tissue, which is your eyeballs, your tongue, your lips. And I think she just deteriorated in the water. I think as members of the group died, they were in a very desperate attempt. I think they were moving the bodies out of respect, and they were taking the clothes off and putting them on themselves in order to stay warm. Very desperate attempt. Some of them died trying to make it back to the tent. Regarding the radiation, Klovatov, who was one of the members of the group, he was actually a nuclear physicist. That was his field of study. And you got to remember, this is 1959 in the Soviet Union. That's where I think the radiation came from. I think he already had it on his clothes, trace evidence. And as members died and they were exchanging clothes, that would explain radiation being on some of the bodies and and some of the other clothes. A lot of people think it was an avalanche. I don't think it was an avalanche. There's no sign of an avalanche in that area. It would have buried the tent, and it would have also buried out their footprints. We wouldn't be able to see their footprints, and their footprints are very clearly seen in all the photos. And so there's no sign of an avalanche, and I don't think an avalanche has ever occurred up on that mountain.